if it wasn't for COVID, I promise you, I would not be on Facebook right now.
You never know. Today is a special day. We are introducing you to social media, to the world, and it's all about getting to know you and who you are. You ready?
Let's go for it.
All right. So pretty much everybody knows that you have been in church most of your life, right?
Yes.
How so?
Well, so my father is a retired AME pastor. He pastored in the African American Episcopal Church for over 32 years. So I've always known him to be a pastor all of my life. I've been in church all of my life. I've been singing in church, playing in church, growing up in church. It's been pretty much Sundays were shut down for church. You didn't do anything on Sunday except prepare for church all day. Of course, being the son of a pastor, there were rules, house rules and things that you had to do. And,
of course.
And, some of my punishments when I did get in trouble was I had to study the Bible and write excerpts on what I studied, and which I thought was very interesting. But those.
Which is what you tried to do to our church.
No, I've never tried that with our
a
church.
Little bit.
I've never tried that with our
Okay.
children. Never tried that with our children, because I didn't like it when he did it to me. So that was something that I was not going to do to our kids. But so that was pretty much the most strict and bizarre thing about growing up as a son of a pastor.
Okay, all right. So you grew up this way, and then all of a sudden, when did you decide that you had this calling to become a minister? Because when we met, you had already, proclaimed your calling and were ministering. That is a story in and of itself, dating a minister. But we're not going to go there right now. But when did you find out or receive that calling? How did you know?
So, very interesting. My calling into the ministry was very profound. It was in the early ages of 17. I was 17, and it absolutely frightened me to death. I was scared, and I ran. I was not prepared. I was not ready, and I just didn't feel responsible enough to take on that type of responsibility, to accept such a vitally important call. And so I ran and ran into the military and hid. I joined the military at age 17, soon after my calling, because I was just that scared about.
That's really young.
Yeah, I was really just that nervous and scared about accepting such a tremendous call, because I've grown up around it all of my life, and I've seen the demands of it, and pretty much from one side, because I grew up. I'm a Baptist pastor now, but I grew up the son of an AME pastor, so I pretty much just saw one side of that, and it was scary. It was a little bit too much for me to handle it for a 17-year-old to answer that call. So I didn't do it right away. I ran for 3 years. I didn't really commit an answer to this call until I was 21. And by the time I was 21, God made it pretty clear that this is what I want you to do, and either you're going to do this or you're going to do nothing at all. So it was pretty much, and he let me run as long as he would allow, and then I had to come back home.
I met you when you were around 23, I believe. Is that correct?
22, 23, something.
Okay, so it's been really interesting to see you evolve, see you, become more educated in this. How do you think going to school and getting that proper education, how do you think that has benefited your ministry?
So, it's a beautiful question, wonderful question. So before seminary, before I really committed to studying the gift and the call and the ministry that I had been called into, I really, growing up the son of a pastor and knowing the little bit about the Bible that I thought I knew, which was a lot at that time.
Yes, I agree, it was a lot.
I really found out when I got to seminary, I really found out I didn't know a whole lot about nothing concerning ministry and Bible and the study and the just the background settings, and there's so much more to just picking up and opening the Bible and reading it. It's a whole lot more study and research that goes along with it, and you find these things out in seminary. So I value it. I mean, it's made me a better pastor, a better preacher, a better just oracle of the Word of God and all of its totality. Because before seminary and after seminary, there is a distinct difference in my teaching and preaching.
I've seen the difference. I mean, you were great before. Of course, you're my favorite minister of all time.
Well, thank you.
But I saw the education come through with each class that, I saw you go through and write paper after paper after paper in the endless hours. So I could say, your education has definitely shown itself in the pulpit, through your Bible studies, and even through your teaching in your home life. As every now and then you try to pastor as a wife as well. So I've seen it all. Yeah. So now that you are a pastor,
yes,
what would you say makes you a good pastor?
Wow. I love what I do. I don't consider it a burden. I don't consider it work, and I don't consider it a career. I consider it a very vital part of my life. Being a pastor and a servant to God's people, that's what God has called me to do. And I love doing it. I mean, I literally love spending the time, and God has just given me the gift of such a charismatic personality that, I'm really congenial with my flock. And they'll tell me I'm a lovable pastor, and I always tell them they are such lovable people, because they are really, really God's chosen people, and I just love them to death. And there's nothing that they can do about it.
I know that you love it, and I know that being in Germany and having us be so far away, that's been a real hardship for you as a pastor. So it's great that you're back. Great to see you back, almost see you blossom as we come back to South Carolina, knowing that you're here, knowing that, everybody's happy to see you. So it's great. So with the energizing, because you say everything, you love it. So I know there's an upside, and I know there's like a downside. So what would you say is the most energizing part of pastoring versus the most depleting part?
The most energizing part of pastoring, for me, is really worship services, my pulpit ministry, and when I'm given the opportunity to preach and pontificate upon God's word, it's really it's explosive, it's exciting to me, and it's just something that I can put my whole self into, and not really be myself, but allow God to use me to reach and teach and minister to God's people. And to me, that's the most fulfilling part of preaching and pastoring from the pulpit.
Okay. All right. So
the most depleting.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So yes, there are some depleting moments and some down times when. So in church ministry, unfortunately there's a political side to church ministry. It's church polity, and to me that is one of the most depleting things. Trying to I don't want to say sell your vision, but trying to present your vision in such a way that it is receivable and acceptable by God's people.
I can see that.
And the most depleting part is when there's friction and it's not such an easy win, and they don't buy into it right away, and it takes, because as a pastor, as a minister, I hear and see from God. I can see it clearly, and trying to present it in such a way so that the people of God can see it just as clear as I do. That's one of the areas where I really need more work, really need to work more at, so that they can see it clearly, so that I won't have so much of a pushback when trying to present new things. But it's all for the glory of God, and eventually God will lead and direct me to say and do the things that needs to be said and done, so that they will follow me as I follow Christ.
Right. Okay. So, and that's all about relationships. That's almost like your relationship with the congregation, with the leadership, and it falls into your relationship, and as a husband
Right.
and as a father, because we still have to. We find ourselves, even you and I. We love each other all the time, but certain days I don't like you, you don't like me, and that's cool. Same thing with the kids. They don't like us sometimes. We don't like them. We're loving them right now, of course, because we're back. We haven't seen them in a couple of years, but they probably won't like us pretty soon. But how is it that you balance church and family? Because I know early on I've struggled with having you away so much.
Right.
Being so dedicated to the church. As a wife, I find it very difficult. But I've learned over the years to balance it. But now that we're empty nesters, that's going to be a lot easier to do.
Yes.
But how is it between being so dedicated as a minister, but also being a father and a husband?
So, and you're right. It's been some difficult days in our early stages of ministry, and I didn't balance it so well back then. But I think we've gotten to a point now where there's a really good balance here. My philosophy on that is God first, family always. So God will always be first in my life, but I will always have my family. My family will always have my back, and that has put things into a better perspective, holistically, well-rounded, because of the fact that you and my daughter here, who's filming, they are a very integral part of this new wave of ministry that the coronavirus has thrusted us into, and so your presence in this ministry and your involvement in this ministry, to be honest with you, we wouldn't even be doing this here now if it were not for you. So I thank God for that, and that's a very big part of the balance, because we found a path where we can do more of this ministry together.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
we love spending time with each other, so this is even more beneficial that we can spend it on a ministerial, professional level, as well as a loving husband and wife couple.
Yeah.
So
So this is going to be fun. So I'm really looking forward to what's ahead. But what we're doing ahead involves a lot of social media, and you're brand new to social media.
Absolutely.
So your vision and going forth, I know, is to promote ministry through social media, but there is a lot of sin on social media, as you're coming to find out. So how are you planning to guard your heart and your mind from seeing and hearing all this? Because it's hard. You scrolling, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, what was that? How are you? Because it can either go either way. It can be
Right.
great, we can prosper, or it can go south real bad. So how are
Absolutely.
you going to do that?
So my plan. So that's a great question, because I know some pastors who fallen victims of social media, and unfortunately, some of them are no longer pastoring. So yes, it's a very very serious situation, a very serious matter. So my plan for that is, I have the best social media team behind me, who is going to scrutinize and kind of shelter me from things that I don't need to be a
But
part
you have
of.
free will.
No, what I'm going to do is do the preaching, the teaching, and the messages, and they will film it. And the only time that I'm really want to be that more so involved and engaged in social media is when we live stream, and I am engaging with the on viewers, those who are watching.
Yeah, that's
the
fun.
ministry with
That's
me.
really fun.
That's fun, and that's pretty much the extent. Someone will may message me, and they're usually messaging me about when is the next message, when is the next Bible study, and things like that. So we question it, and of course, since I'm brand new to social media, a lot of my classmates, they're following me now. So the fact is, it was very interesting to learn that I've got about 5, maybe 6 classmates who are also in ministry.
That's awesome.
And we
That's
have
really
we have
awesome.
found each other on
Yeah.
social ministry there. So I try to keep the positive and more uplifting things in ministry in my streamlined view, and shun myself away from all the other stuff that is no good and that is of no good, because it only leads to your downfall and malice, and that's not what I'm interested in. And the fact is, if it wasn't for COVID, I promise you, I would not be on Facebook right now.
You never know that.
I was
You never know.
determined never to get on Facebook.
The world,
But
the rest of the
COVID
world is on
has
Facebook.
shifted me into this social millennium. So here I am, but only, you know, as a presence to be looked upon, not for me to so much be that much engaged. Because I'm still not interested in social media, other than just making ministry available for those who can't come to the church now.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, like I said, I'm excited about what the future holds. I hope Capernaum Missionary Baptist Church, is excited as well to be able to bring a lot more content in, for them to see you a little bit in a different light. Because this is different from being in the pulpit on Sunday morning and just a little fellowship afterwards. So let's look forward to it. Let's do great things. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.